Hi, I'm Dawn, and I'm glad you're here joining me for my Soul Spark series. This is part 4, titled The Proof of Union for Twin Flames is in Your Energy. So, before I get started, I have a little relaxed daily playing in the background. It's his No Need to Rush episode, which is actually very fitting for the message I'm about to share with you. Um, Also, I have a little disclaimer. I'm going to put my glasses on, which I'm going to be reading anyway, otherwise, I will be all over the place. And the camera's not going to be on me the whole time anyway. So this annoying glare, I apologize for it now, will not be in your face the whole time. So first, I'll start with saying that all journeys are not unique, as you've probably heard before, and references are not to genders but to energetic roles or simply specific to my own case. Also, everything I share here is from my own experiences or what I believe, and also what I've gotten from the experiences shared by others or what they believe, which resonated with me. As always, please take what rings true for you. Okay, so now to the good stuff. I've wanted to talk about this since I started doing these videos, and I felt now was the time. So, yay! Which I've really enjoyed sharing all of this so far. It's exciting information. Feels like a new light shed on this journey for me, at least. And I do hope that it's being helpful to others. So I've always been well connected psychically, I think, though I went through a tough time where I withdrew. But as soon as I opened myself up again, it was all still there. Like my soul was patiently waiting for me. Early on in this journey, well, pretty much after I had gotten out of the obsessive thinking stage that twin flames go through, I don't know if there's a name for that exactly. I never really looked at the names of the stages, the descriptions of the different twin flame things that happen to us. And, because I guess there are just so many variations, it gets a little confusing to say the least. But what I know is pretty much just what I've seen in comments or in passing by an article title or, um, something like that. But I guess it was about 3 months that my thoughts of my twin flame finally started to calm down. They didn't slow down. They were just not jabbing at my brain constantly the way they had been at first. I thought maybe I was just getting used to it. But if you're a twin flame, you know what that jabbing is like. I present to you Exhibit A for activation of the shared soul. And if you watched part 2 or part 3, you may remember that I used this little dish to represent the shared energy of the soul, divine feminine, divine masculine. But it also represented the energy in the 3D field and how that energy impacts both twins. So here we have the representation of the two physical bodies and the energy. So we have the yin, the yang, divine feminine, divine masculine representatives, which I like to call feminine in turn, masculine in turn. Also, spiritual, physical connections to the soul. And there may have been some connected moments or some kind of knowing before meeting this person, even in dreams, but it's right here where soul recognition occurs and you realize that something incredibly unique is going on here. And it's overwhelming, and you probably don't understand it, and it's often short lived. But all you can do is be in it and react to it. So, this is the soul activation, the soul recognition. I like to do the visuals. And it was more or less lying dormant, but now is awakened. Okay, so for me, there was a reunion right after my obsessive thinking calmed a little. Once that happened, it brought on a lot of questions, and it really confirmed in some ways that this wasn't all in my head. Like, it wasn't as much in his words as it was in his tone and his actions. And he initiated the contact, and well, sort of. And even the way he halfway did it was a big clue that he was afraid of a few things. But without getting into the details, it just really helped me accept the journey And I for damn sure realized it wasn't going away too, because something happened both times. It was almost supernatural, or it was like an out of this world experience. But again, without getting into the details of that, because then I'll be here all day. But when I tried to make sense of what happened, I had to look at what was being shown to me in that moment, in that event. And it was that he realized that this, whatever it was between us, was for real and also not going away. This is Exhibit B, Belief of the Shared Soul. And this will represent us, the body, one of the twin flames. So, this will represent how the belief may be weak at first. Um, like you have these thin spots here, uh, or varied. Like we may fight it, but the more we fight it, like the more we try to find ways around it, the more we may get pulled into it. Like also, we may be on board one day, then the next day we doubt or deny. Like I know I went through all of this, but then we think we're just going to let it go, forget about it, but we can't. And in fact, things seem to happen to pull you in deeper. But as we start to get into this journey, you start ascending, your belief becomes more solid, stable, well rounded, and it can actually guide and protect you. But it takes work. Like you gotta work it, just like I'm doing here for my little example. So after that, and again, this is just following along my own path for what happened for me, but I got deep into what I'll call the processing stage, where I was spending a lot of time trying to figure everything out, trying to see how things might possibly play out. And of course, I'm still constantly thinking of my twin and when and if I'll see him again. It's all of the things behind that abandonment wound energy, like lack, seeking to gain control, being needy, putting up walls. And I was also getting into toxic behaviors like doing and watching tarot readings every day that just keep you stuck. And not saying those are all bad, but like when I was doing my own, I was doing them every day and kind of in the same energy about them. And, I was watching a lot of the ones that just keep you coming back and don't really get, not to say that I didn't get some helpful things from them, but for the most part, it was just addictive and feeding that toxic energy. But I finally realized that I had to get out of that no matter what. Like, twin flame or not, I couldn't stay like that. So I started processing in other ways, like the actual spiritual journey side of this. And I stopped looking at the twin flame side of this for the most part. I didn't go cold turkey, but I gradually got away from trying to absorb everything to do with my twin and, like why, what, when, how. So then once I got into the spiritual side, I started to feel movement and really rather quickly. Like more and more, I got away from the negative path that you can get on by not facing what you need to face. And I started getting into the positive, and immediately I started feeling better and I started really growing and getting really good, useful information that I felt was really helping me to progress. This is Exhibit C, the course, processing and progressing. And it can be an obstacle or it can be a motivator. This is the point where you choose your course. You can either stay looping or start progressing. So, like these guys here, they just, this is my cat's toy. Um, they just keep going round and round. They're stuck in this energy. They're not really making any headway here. Um, but there are other ways out. Like you don't have to keep going round and round, but you got to make changes because this ball is not going to fit through this little hole. And like you can get unstuck, but it's hard to do without changing. So if you choose to keep looping, then your connection with your twin will mostly remain on the physical side, which doesn't mean their body will be in close proximity necessarily. I mean, I guess it could be, but it means whatever is going on here in the matrix, as it's commonly called, which means the masculine intern is leading, which means their conditioning within societal views will be calling the shots, which will likely keep your 3D shared energy out of balance. And for more info on this, please watch parts 2 and 3 of Soul Spark. Really very interesting stuff. And a lot of what I've gotten is through intuition and not stuff I've heard from others or mainstream twin flame belief, at least. So, if you choose to progress, you start growing spiritually. You begin to heal and you work on yourself some. You begin to shift the energy between you and your twin because you're actually doing something to affect your shared energy, which will help to move you towards soul alignment. And that's for both twins. It doesn't matter if you're the feminine or the masculine in turn because you can look at all of this that I'm discussing from either perspective. And after that, ascension begins taking off, and you gradually and more easily get out of low vibrations and into maintaining a higher vibrational frequency. You're not worried about the end game, and you're just enjoying life. You're aligning, and you can feel the shifts in energy. Like you feel the peace and happiness that comes with that, and you're more connected intuitively, and you get wonderful, beautiful messages that honestly, I don't think I could have made up. And it just takes me even higher. And you come to find yourself like you're learning to love yourself and how to set boundaries. And you're now dedicated to yourself. So, and you may have guessed it, this is Exhibit D for dedication. And I don't think I really need to say any more about that. We've got the mirror. But I do want to make a note here when you're being dedicated to you, you are balancing the energy out because you're getting into alignment here in the 3D with your soul, which your twin flame shares with you, which means that 3D energetic field you share is aligning, which should bring you to your twin or bring your twin in. But I realize this takes time and it's part of divine timing. But I feel like I want to do my part so I can be ready and prove more to myself that I am ready. So I believe the proof of union is in our energy. And I'm going to bring up some things I've read or heard others say, such as not every twin flame is meant for union. Why have we been in separation for so long? Some twins are just meant to come in and activate you and then they leave, never to see you again. They did their part. Some people believe that their child or parent can be a twin flame. I don't. I believe that's a soulmate or something else, all of that. And here's why. I mean, it's right in front of us. Either you're not a twin flame, and I'm not one of those people who believe everyone has a twin flame and or, isn't one in this lifetime. I believe that when your soul reaches a certain level, it may be tasked with this mission of bringing up humanity. And some are chosen to do this through the twin flame path. I don't think it's a recent thing either. I think there have been steps along the way for millennia, but this is just one way. So, anyway, as I was saying, first, there are so many ways to awaken spiritually. So, I have to ask, why the twin flame path? Because it's designed to have two different or opposing sides in the eyes of society, that they are able to come together to change conditioned thinking through unconditional love, and they do it in the highest, most intimate physical manner, which I believe involves a sexual element. It's the most intimate form of love we can share, like even beyond our parents and children, if we're with someone who is really right for us. And I hope that doesn't offend anyone, but you aren't being forced to listen to this, I hope. But yeah, so that's why we leave our parents and find our own partners or not. But how could we change that conditioned thinking by way of our twin flame if we're not meant for union? I mean, I agree, there could be other ways for sure. But when you tie everything in from this union to, when you tie it in together, I will disagree. Because what's the point of that intense explosion that happens at soul recognition? It's to drive us into this journey. but it's not one sided, it's both sides. Why are they being pushed to change if we're not meant for union? If we're not meant for union, it wouldn't matter if my twin holds on to wounds of the past. It wouldn't matter if they didn't have an effect on our soul, but they do. So, why are they having to do the work? Why do we share our soul? Because we are meant for union. And some people may argue that, union has different definitions. I believe that union is physical. I mean, it could be, it's spiritual and physical. And that's the point. It's all of that's what this whole thing is. That's the soul, the shared soul. That's the whole point. Like, if you're arguing that union is only spiritual or possibly spiritual, then you don't understand the shared energy of the soul, because that's the polarity, that's the yin, the yang, the feminine, the masculine. It's everything about the shared soul, the physical, the spiritual. We're here in the physical realm on a mission to uplift, to bring light, all of that. Divine planning could have easily put someone else in front of me to get me out of whack for a few months just to push me into a spiritual awakening. Oh, wait, some people do get awakened that way, but that path is different. Why? Because they're not meant for a mission in union with their one soul. It's the big difference between twin flames and other spiritual journeys. It doesn't show the world by example that we're able to love unconditionally if we can't take being near each other. I mean, if we're not together, that actually goes against our collective base purpose as twin flames. Not only, not saying that's our only purpose, we can have many and they'll be individualized. But, like, an example, how I was saying I disagree with the theory that some twin flames are simply platonic. Those relationships aren't going to be tested the way a romantic one will be. Yes, you can love someone platonically and unconditionally, and it can certainly be noticed by others. And that's definitely a part of, the movement of energy for all. But again, I just believe that's another type of path. Yes, also on a spiritual journey, but a different path on that journey. So, this is that up close and personal. This is in that mirror. um, like, how can I say I love my twin unconditionally, but I rarely see him? How is that really leading others around me? Like, I can say to an extent that I do, but I think I need to be able to show that through experience, like the way we go to school for something. But until we actually apply it, until we actually get our hands on it, until we're involved with it, we may not be that good at it. And that's another thing. Like, I think we'll be given the experience of it, because something else I've seen on this journey is that we get tested. We get tested enough so that I could probably do a whole other video on that. Like, we get tested not to prove to our soul or our higher self, because they already know. My higher self already knows what's going on. But we do it, or we get tested to prove to ourself. Like, it shows us something. We learn something from that. We find out what we're made of, what we're capable of. Even just by sharing our experiences with each other, we're able to bring about positive, uplifting change. And I could say more on that, but I'll save that for another one. So, I don't claim to know everything about what I'm experiencing, but I'm trusting my guidance, and this is just what I get. And I felt the urge in my soul to share it. So, all of those exhibits were meant to show you something, that it's all happening for a reason, that it's all in the energy. And if you take each of those things and think of them as being your shared energy. Okay, let's do that real quick. So you have Exhibit A, activation, which was the bubbling of the shared energy. That was soul recognition. That energy where you were both moved, pushed, forced, however it applies. Exhibit B was your belief, your perception of the connection changed. This brought about a new energy, right? C, the course, you start taking action or you stay stuck, but you're moving energy one way or another. It's either away from alignment or towards it. And dedication, D, dedication, it's the icing on the cake. When you get there, you feel like no matter what happens, you're so thankful for all of this. And, that's a good frequency to be on, in my opinion. That's a clear sign of being in alignment with your soul. And who shares that alignment energy? Look at part two of Soul Spark if you haven't already to see how the balancing that energy impacts both twins. So, again, I know everyone's journey is unique, but I hope you can look at this and get something useful for your journey from it. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more. I have more to share. And like I said, it's not stuff I've seen elsewhere. And I really feel this is moving me along in my path um, through ascension and helping me to get to and maintain soul alignment. Thank you for watching.